So the New York Times is in some hot water because they released an article today, and it was titled "A Voice of Hate in America's Heartland." And within the article, they spoke to this white nationalist guy, self-described one, and essentially just repeated his story and reported on what he said and didn't demonize the guy throughout the entire article, right? And because they didn't do this they incurred the wrath of like a bunch of people on the left, right? The far left. They're just freaking out because they cannot have that, right? They need whenever an article comes out about people that they oppose, etc. You have to completely demonize them. You can't portray them in an honest light. That's because these people do not want open dialogue. They do not want conversations. They want to censor their opponents. They want to shame people. And that's what they want to do, right? Whenever people say, like, oh, we want to have an open conversation about this, about race, about this or that, that's not actually what they want to do. What they honestly want to do is just shame white people and say, like, an open conversation is just us telling you how shitty you are and the things you need to change to make our lives better, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing on our part that we have to do to change it. It's all you. And that's their honest conversation about race. So that's why they can't handle just the New York Times releasing this piece about this white nationalist that wasn't completely demonized. I'm like, but even the title, "A Voice of Hate in America's Heartland," like that's clearly not an endorsement. Like they're saying what he's talking about is hateful. So it's like you really need to just fill up every article you have with constant attacks of the person for these people to even want to read it. Like, and this is the case with any article that comes out about a Trump supporter, about white men, whatever. If any news agency that's far and left has an opinion piece that comes out, you just read the comments on Twitter underneath the article, and people just lose their shit. They're like, how could you portray Trump supporters like this? How could you portray these people with actual opinions and legitimate things that they may be worried about? There's nothing legitimate about these people. And the more people do that, the more polarized we're going to become. And the more groups like Antifa and some of these far-right, more extreme groups that are maybe willing to go out and hurt people are going to be emboldened, right? Censoring people, constantly demonizing them is not the answer, right? And it's better to speak to these people about it. And it's like, I don't see any of these people freaking out when Salon, Vice, etc. makes an article about a pedophile and trying to normalize pedophilia, whereas this article wasn't normalizing it at all. Whereas Salon, Vice, that they clearly are trying to normalize it. So nobody freaks out about that. So get your fucking priorities straight, right? And even within the article, it highlighted how there aren't that many of these people. There's a few hundred in his chapter of white nationalists that he follows, and then maybe like a 5 to 10,000 alt-righters. So it's like people are really afraid of that, and they're not afraid of fucking like terrorists being reintegrated into their communities and shit. Like, it's ridiculous. But that's all I pretty much had to say. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.